Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis. Welcome to my channel. My name is Samuel and I want to make self-growth normal. If you want to make self-growth normal, because I don't want to do it alone, and who doesn't want to make self-growth normal, then make sure to smash that like button. Now, what matters to me reviewing this book isn't that I'm a guy and I'm petty and competitive, only in the sense that I have to be the highest ranking of the very few of us in the YouTube search results for reviews of this book. But pushing aside the coronavirus and everything that we go through, how many girls need to be told, girl wash your face? Those 4 words. How many girls have believed they're not good enough, thin enough, they're unlovable, or a bad mom? Have you ever felt that you deserved to be treated badly? That you'll never amount to anything? These are all lies perpetuated by just a lot of sources, devastating to your sense of self-worth and ability to function. Played so loudly in your ears for so long that they just become white noise. This is what the author says, and if you're watching this, you might be like, oh my goodness, hashtag preach. This is a rare book that knows how to strike a chord. It is shameless, unapologetic, and proud to show that in, to me, an obviously well-intentioned way. She said, what if I wrote a book about all the different ways that I've struggled, and then explained the steps that helped me get past those times? Every section of this book begins with a lie that the author believes held her back, how it hurt her, and others as well. If that isn't relatable, then I don't know what is, other than smashing that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and also with ranking and SEO and all this other stuff. And I really appreciate it because so much work really goes into making these videos, okay? If these lies pertain to your life and you believe any of them, the actual book might explain why that's not true in a way that really only kind of years of life experience can. In this review, I'm gonna say what each lie is. There are 20 of them. I'll lay down observations and commentary in between them. And I'm also going to talk about some negative reviews, top helpful reviews that I found on Audible, and whether I agree with them. Then I'm gonna read some standout quotes. I'm gonna tell you who I recommend this book to, and I'm also gonna tell you books that I recommend that are similar. Number 1 is Someone Else Will Make Me Happy. There's so many moments where it's not like she's bragging about imperfections. To me, that's just kind of an obnoxious description. It's more like bragging about the awareness of imperfections and saying, look, this matters less than this. Number 2 is I'll start tomorrow. If you have ADHD and you cannot keep paying attention, this book, this book is that squirrel. It will demand your attention. Maybe instead of Girl Wash Your Face, it should be called Squirrel Watched for Days. That was really corny. But it was also kind of clever, this is what 3 years of rapping does to you. Number 3 is I'm Not Good Enough, and it's just, I don't know, it's obvious to me how human the author realizes she is. Number 4 is I'm Better Than You. Number 5 is Loving Him Is Enough. The story in this chapter, I don't like spoilers, but just know it's breathtaking how it all kind of plays out. Number 6 is No is the final answer, and the best word I could use to describe her tone, if I had to use one, is probably sisterly. Number 7 is I'm bad at sex. Being bad at sex, it's like she will take the most embarrassing things and she's like, believe me, you are not the only one dealing with this, and here is what to do about it. Number 8 is I don't know how to be a mom. By the way, for anyone who's checked out other reviews, not sure how many people have brought up what I'm about to say, because this is the part where the concept of Christianity was particularly brought to my attention. Religious talk in books ends up as a gray area typically in my reviews, because although it does add, divergence to someone's overall perspective, if that's not what someone's looking for in a book about the lies we've been told, a lot of that has to do with belief, I think. A lot of Christians I've heard have just said, you have to have faith, and that totally makes sense to me. But if I didn't know any better, I probably would pick out this book and I'd think, how much is she gonna talk about this? What's she gonna say? If I don't believe it, how much should I believe other things? I wanna see if we can put some potential anxiety to rest here. Number 9 is I'm not a good mom. And I want to say that Christianity is not a big thing in this book. This book is a 2. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman, which talked about Christianity so minimally that I don't even think I mentioned it in my review of the book. And 10, maybe 11, being Anxious for Nothing by Max Lucado, which I felt was such a misleading title that I tore it apart for self-presentation reasons, probably more than any other book I've ever reviewed ever. Number 10 is I Should Be Further Along by Now. However, I think a strong 80% of her Christian talk in this book is not based around the powers and names of figures and spirit or spirits, but more so the general rule of Christianity. And this only makes sense whether you're Christian or not, if it's just a good thing to do if you're a human. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. And anyone who hears that and they're like, that's so Christian, I don't believe in it, me. Well, sir, or madame, this, according to thought leader Napoleon Hill, is actually the golden rule of success. And it makes sense why. If you're watching this and you're like, no, Sam, that doesn't make sense. What is this carrot top looking kid talking about success for? He has no friends. He lives in his mom's house. And look, just check out the last principle of the law of success. It's an estuary chapter. Number 11, other people's kids are much cleaner, more organized, more polite. I think a common theme in this book is that we're not perfect, and that's okay, and we can always improve ourselves, and that always makes things better. But this is like a present that she kind of wraps up and then unwraps in so many different ways and shows us every time. I have no idea why someone would logically do this in a situation. She's like, look at this, look at this, look at this. And it's all from like a standpoint that's personal enough for you to understand it on a deeper than conscious level in the end of the book. Number 12 is, I need to make myself smaller. This drives me insane. I mean, just writing these down made me feel kind of worse about myself. I think a really big sign of personal progress and personal growth is hearing or reading something negative and treating it like a physical danger, a caution sign. What to do with that caution is up to you. Number 13 is I'm going to marry Matt Damon. And this one is the most, I probably haven't heard anything like it in any other book. Is this a girl wash your face type of thing? Do I need to read more books that are presumably dominantly targeted toward women? I don't know. I'm probably going to end up doing that anyway. But number 14 is I'm a terrible writer, and there's a lot in this one about persistence and just going and going. But I feel like her perspectives on lots of these, like writing and being bad at sex and body image, they're pretty unique. Number 15 is I will never get past this. And again, the persistence, the perspective is pretty unique. I don't know how many people are just like, what if I just kept going and happened to succeed? There's one part where she said, and this kind of relates to grief. So there are a lot of little corners that she tackles here. Living is the greatest honor you can ever give to the person you lost, even if the person who's going was your younger, innocent self. Number 16 is I can't tell the truth. She really poured her heart out in this chapter and it gave me goosebumps. But I'm not going to spoil it because one, story-wise, I strongly dislike spoilers myself, and two, I learned the other day that when you have Alfredo sauce in a cabinet and you open it and use it and you don't put it back in the fridge, but you do put it in the cabinet, it will spoil and smell like the breath of a horse whose teeth were just brushed using soggy old garlic and expired toe cheese as toothpaste. Number 17 is I am defined by my weight. I don't think I've heard such a balanced perspective on body image. I might have to listen to this again just to 1000% make sure of that. I have not heard that many. I know there are a trillion out there. Number 18 is I need a drink. And I don't think her storytelling is this sort of impressive, technical, structural way of doing things. You know, it's not Malcolm Gladwell, Robert Greene, Charles Duhigg, insert a bunch of impressive storyteller first and last names here. It's a lot more emotional, more touching, compassionate, and I think it really fits the nature of her points. Number 19 is there's only one way to be. This one's probably my favorite. I think it would have been a better 20 than 19. And I feel like I've dropped a lot of names in this review so far, but if you've ever heard Brene Brown talk about belonging to a group and feeling like you belong, this kind of sounded like that to me. Number 20 is I Need a Hero. This one is the most raw, it's the most inspiring, easily, and the ending is like, in the audio version, it almost sounded like she was like yelling. And the acknowledgements they were pretty touching as well. What do the negative reviews say? Do I agree with them? In the negative reviews, I thought they were going to talk about the whole Christianity thing. Sometimes I feel like negative reviews of very popular books are rarely what I expect, but that's a reason I love reading these reviews. A 1-star review said that there's fat shaming. These are so funny to me. This is just hard narrative twisting. Nowhere in the book did she ever say, you are ugly and not worthy if you are overweight. Nowhere at all. Who the hell would say that in a book? A self-help book. You know, I am on drugs, but not the type that caused me to overlook stuff like that. I picked up that she was saying it's important to take care of your body, but also that she talks about the importance of appreciating your body and looking at yourself and being proud of what's in the mirror. In the end, she was like, I'm probably gonna get so much crap for this. Another 1-star review, this is probably my favorite, called it unbelievably self-indulgent. Don't get me wrong, she talks about herself so much in this book, but it's not some humble brag. If bragging were insightful and inspiring, let alone tolerable, this would be it. Or actually, this other 1-star review might be my favorite, calls it a waste of time. Said she goes on about peeing her pants while jumping on a trampoline and shaving her toes as confessions of horror. Privileged, arrogant woman offering fake help. Jeez, I don't know, man. Horror is a very strong word. It's more like, I was embarrassed about this for a very long time. If you are embarrassed about something for a very long time, that thing, no matter what it is ultimately nothing to be ashamed of. And that's why I'm telling all of this to anyone in the world who checks this book out. Horror? What on earth? Fake help? What does that even mean? Something about these books like, oh, it's coming from privilege. I think that I came from a decent, I hate to say platform of privilege. However, Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, I think is an excellent example of coming from really bad places. I think the first chapter of that book is actually called I Should Have Been a Statistic. But I want to stress that books like that and books like this, a lot of the time, overall, they end up having the same overarching theme in the end. But is it wrong to offer that advice when we all have a different definition of the mud that we individually walk through? I don't get it. Maybe I will the more books I review. Quotes. You are more than what you have become. I hope you get out of the trees long enough to see the forest. You can't fail a job you were created to do. Direction 1. I recommend this book for probably anyone, but particularly either someone who is interested in self-help and not sure where to start, or someone who is skeptical. I really need to stop eating popcorn. Someone who is skeptical about self-help, but at the same time, if you're pretty experienced with self-help, there are some pretty unique perspectives I think you could still probably get out of it. Cool, unique ideas like critique grief, cardio fantasies, which are probably just as useful as they are hard to take seriously. And this whole thing of, if you're making a decision, how would I feel if my child did this? Would I be okay with it? Also, if you haven't heard, the masters are always going over the basics. Like, come on guys, my fellow masters. I don't really think I'm a master, but I'm not really sure I care right now. Direction 2. If you like this book, I haven't checked out that many books like it. The next book I'm checking out is Year of Yes by SHONDA RHIMES. It's like a memoir almost that's kind of disguised and structured like a self-development book. I'm an hour or so into it. So far, based on that, I would recommend checking that out. But first I would check out Becoming by Michelle Obama. Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis. There's a link in the description if you guys want to check it out and read the reviews. That and all the other books that I mentioned in this video, if you want to check those out too. If there are any other books that you guys want me to check out and review, please let me know in the comments below. Also hit me up on Instagram and let me know if you like the book in the comments. But hey, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, because I don't get why people watch this far into my videos and they don't subscribe. But if you have subscribed and you want to turn it up just a notch, turn on that notification bell to receive a notification every time I drop a new video. That would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can find me everywhere and I will see you then.